Hey guys, Fleet here, back with another Pro-Am, and um, I have a few things I wanted to talk about today, and uh, I'm gonna get to hopefully all of them. Um, some of those things that I wanted to talk about were the differences of like your approach to building your character, as well as uh, three-point shooting, guarding three-point shooting, and um, team structure and like team chemistry. And yeah, and you saw that I hit that post fadeaway shot previously there. And that was my first 2 points of this game. But yeah, so let's get right into it. Let's talk about the first thing I want to talk about was the approach to building your character. And um, depending on how you play, I think your approach could change. But um, for the most part, and when I say approach, I'm talking like um, the difference between like making a versatile character with a whole bunch of different skill sets compared to trying to maximize one of your character's skill sets. So, and I'm not talking about like strictly making um, like pure archetypes. Um, but I mean that is a certain way of doing a max min build. But you can also do max min builds like like trying to maximize your guy's athleticism or trying to maximize his offense, trying to maximize his defense, things like that. You can also like try to like maximize his speed. Uh, you could try to maximize like his vertical or his size and strength. There's a lot of different ways to max min character build. Um, it doesn't have to be, like I said, a pure archetype that you go with. Uh, like good examples, like I mean, if you're doing like a slashing defender, so a slashing lockdown, um, then that is also a max min build. That is basically you're maximizing, you're trying to maximize vertical and strength basically. So you're trying to be like an inside presence, a physical presence, sort of, both offensively and defensively. Um, even though you, in that regard, you are versatile because you are a two-way build. But in the regard of like what you're trying to do with that character, it's very much max min. You're focusing mostly on your athleticism and physicality, and uh, not so much on like the skills of the game. So although like like defense and inside scoring are both skills as well, but I think when you're talking about like skill versus athleticism, like we're talking about like skills are like ball handling, shooting, perimeter shooting, even like technical layups, post scoring, things like that, right? Like those are like basketball skills basically, and like you see it a lot in even the real NBA. There's obviously some players who are there strictly for their athleticism. They're not really skilled as far as like the game goes. They have like a few skills that everyone in the NBA does, but they're there mainly because they're big and they're strong and they're fast. And yeah, this game's no different. You see a lot of those players as well, and then you also see like versatile players, guys who can do like a lot of everything or like a little bit of everything. And like there's a few of those as well in the league, guys who are a jack of all trades, so to speak. Like a good example is like Carl Anthony Towns. Uh, he's a very versatile player, and he's big as well, so he's got the size and versatility. And now, if you're the kind of player like me who uh, you play with a lot of like random players, you do like a lot of walk-ons, like without a squad, things like that. Um, I do recommend a more versatile build, just simply because you don't know what role you're gonna be put in on like any random team, and it could change like from game to game. So um, having versatility is definitely going to help you be successful if you're constantly playing with different teammates and uh, on different teams of guys, and like like everyone has different player builds and stuff. So um, like I said, your role is going to change very drastically from game to game. Um, and also, I mean, like depending on who you face, like your role is going to change as well, right? Because like some player, like sometimes you're gonna have to guard sharpshooters, sometimes you're gonna have to guard slashers. So um, having the ability to guard on the perimeter as well as in the paint is extremely handy in my opinion. And then also like the ability to grab rebounds is also like also adds to a lot of like a player's versatility as well, and that's why I made like a rebounding shot creator, because it is kind of like a two-way build. Like he can play defense, like he can guard uh, on the perimeter, he can guard in the paint. He can be like a rim protector. He is 6'10", so he can get a lot of block shots and guard right at the rim. Um, right there, I got a good shot contest, and that is one of the problems with not having like actual rim protector archetype, is sometimes you might be a little soft inside, as far as like they're gonna sometimes just hit stuff through contact. But this is a thing though, because nothing is 100%, right? So like if you can beat a guy once on like a contact layup or contact dunk, it doesn't mean that you're going to beat him every time. Um, even the best players, like playing good defense, they can have, guys will score through them right through their good defense as well. So um, that's just how this game is. Nothing's perfect, nothing is set in stone, and everything's done on sliders and rolls of the dice basically. Um, yeah, and then max min builds. Like max min builds are also good. They tend to be better when you have guys who can, like, you can put around them. And I think the best max min builds are usually the bigs, the true centers. And you could also do a max min build with like a point guard, like a really small, like fast, zippy point guard who can shoot the ball, and you can do pretty much everything that you'd expect like a dominant guard to do. Um, and yeah, those two kinds of builds, they can for sure be successful. You, like I said, uh, if you go one of those builds, you probably want to roll in with some dudes that some guys who have like versatile builds like mine. Um, and like I said, it's just because like you don't know what you're going to be facing. You don't know like what your role is going to be, or like what roles you're going to need for like for each individual game. And so having like a few guys who are versatile, and then a couple like max min builds, like one or two max min builds, that's very plausible strategy. And like I think that's like you want to have a mix. On like the best teams will have a mix of guys like that, so like you have like one, like I said, one or two max mins, and then the rest of the guys are all like versatile, have multiple skill sets. Some of the things that you probably want to have on a team, on a pro-am team, is you probably want to have one guy who's a dedicated like ball handler and playmaker. So between your 1, 2, and 3, like one of those guys, if they have like primary or secondary playmaking, is gonna like carry your team a long way for sure. And having a guy who can protect the rim, and you don't necessarily need like a rim protector to do that. any guy who's like 6'10" or more can protect the rim if they have like a decent enough vertical. Um, and most guys that size will have good enough vertical to be like a rim protector. Like my guy can be a rim protector. My character can be a rim protector, and I've done it before. Like I've had to be a guy who's basically parked in the restricted area, just blocking shots and getting rebounds. And yeah, but having like one or two guys who can do that, um, you really don't really need more than one. There, people will help, like guys will help out usually with the defensive duties and rebounding duties as well. Um, so you don't really need to have like more than one guy who's dedicated to protecting the rim. And then you want to have like at least a few guys who can defend the perimeter, and because like the game is going a lot more to like the 3-point shot and um, just a lot of perimeter shooting in general. And like you see a lot of like shot creators as well, like who can do that kind of stuff, like pulling from mid range. So having some guys with foot speed who can defend the perimeter and stay with dudes like on the perimeter is going to be really important as well. And then, like I said, rebounding. You gotta have rebounding on every team. Otherwise, you probably lose it without it. In my opinion, I don't know. You could probably win without it, but you'd have to hit a lot of shots. Like you'd have to hit a high field goal percentage, and it's kind of hard to do that. Like from 1 to 5, basically. Yeah, and then you also want to have like a good mix of scoring as well. So you want guys who can score inside. You also want guys who can shoot the three or shoot in the mid range. Just basically perimeter shooting. Um, and yeah, like you want like a good mix of a balanced approach to your attack offensively. Um, Having a couple guys who can shoot the three, shoot the mid range, and then a couple guys who can drive. Maybe a guy who can score in the post as well. Uh, yeah, just to be able to give your opponents different looks and like offensively, and that's what's going to help you like win a lot of games is having that balanced offensive approach. But for sure, one of the most important things, in my opinion, to be successful is guarding the three ball and being able to guard sharpshooters, because it's not easy to guard a sharpshooter. First of all, like they can pop in your face from deep and sometimes make it, even through good D, like they can sometimes make the shot, but just because they can doesn't mean you should not play D. Like one of the things about it is if they're hitting shots through contest, like through shot contest, early in the game, maybe like later on in the game, it's going to be like nothing but bricks. So you really guys stick with it. Guarding sharpshooters, like it really comes down to just sticking with him and like making sure that you got your body on him all the time. If he's running around, make him run, like make him like run fast and make him like have to avoid you. Like you have to try to like get that body on him as quick as possible and as fiercely as possible as well. You really do want him to, first of all, not be already set and have a clear look at the basket, no matter where he is. So you like by the time he gets the ball, if he's set and he's been looking at the basket for like 3 seconds, it's enough time. It's enough for him to hit the shot, even if you get back and contest it. I got player of the half there, as you can see. Yeah, and then getting back to the sharpshooters. And then like making them run is also going to make them really tired. And my guy has a silver bruiser badge, which goes a long way for defending guys like who are sharpshooters, because if they want to stand there and allow you to just like rub up against them and make contact, their stamina is gonna get drained just by standing there. So it's not a good idea for them to do that. It's gonna make them want to run around more, and in a sense, they're gonna drain their own stamina by doing that if they run too fast. Like anybody who's played Pro Am knows how sharpshooters play. They do like a lot of like what they consider or like what's considered cheese in this game. So basically, like they'll do a lot of zigzagging on and off the ball. Like so they'll do it dribbling or like just running around without the ball. They'll do like a lot of like in and out cuts. So they'll cut into the restricted area and then cut out and spot up for three. They'll run across the key from corner to corner. And yeah, they'll just do anything that they can to try to shake their defender because they can get it open and they'll probably hit it even if they are tired. But one of the main things is like you get them tired and then you make sure that you're contesting the shot when they actually take it. And if you can't like get back on them because they like outran you or something, and then they spot up and they take the shot, there's a good chance they might miss that because they've been running around the whole time trying to shake you. And if you're that far behind them, they've ran quite a distance because, like, I mean, my guy's, he's not slow for a big dude, like for a guy who's 6'10". So, like, if you've outrun him for like 10 seconds, I mean, you can get like a little bit of distance on him, but if he's like getting late to your shot because you've been running around, you might be too tired to take that shot, and you just miss it even wide open. So, you know, the main thing with sharpshooters is you gotta stick with them, and you gotta just stay like persevere through their cheese and their move around strategies, like their ways of getting open. Just don't let them be open ever. Like, and another thing is like if you're touching them and you got contact on them, then any pass that goes to them, you can probably pick that off right in midair. You just hit square like as somebody's trying to pass them the ball, and you could get the steal. You don't always, but you could. And that chance is better than having no chance at all. And then yeah, as far as sharpshooters go, like I said, just make them tired, stick your body on them, and just make it hard for them, make everything hard for them. And that guy that I was playing against in this game, he was not a sharpshooter, so the fact that he was shooting threes, his AI was shooting threes, obviously I'm going to disrespect that. So yeah, I'm gonna move on to playing offense now, and basically how to play offense and how I succeed on offense for the most part. Yeah, like I average about a little over 13.5 points per game in Pro-Am walk-on, and it's not like, as you can see, like I've already scored 26 in this game, and we're in the third, and I just scored my 28th. So my guy's obviously no chump in scoring. He can score the ball. I don't focus on my points per game average like as a stat. The only stat I ever really care about is wins, and I don't care how I get those wins. That's the only stat I care about. Because if you win like most of your games and you're just walking on with randoms, it's not them that's winning the games. It's a clear indication that you're doing something right, and you're playing a good game. Because like all it takes is like one big hole, like one gaping hole on your team, and like you could have like troubles for the whole, you could have fits for the whole game. And I've seen it where like like everybody on the team except for one guy is playing exceptionally well, and then that one guy just brings everyone down. Like he'll bring the whole team down, and it it does suck being that guy. And the main thing is like uh, with offense, like you want to be a guy who can score for the most part. I think having some ability to generate offense is key. If you're a big man, you don't need a shot really because, like, if you're big enough, then guys will still like your matchup's still gonna have to respect you down low. So, um, and that's one of the main things is like you can't have guys sitting on the 3-point line who are gonna miss the three if they get the ball. I mean, like if they miss like 2 out of 5, that's okay. If they miss like 3 out of 5, that's okay. But if they're missing like 5 out of 5, that's a you know that's a big no-no in my opinion. You don't want to have guys like that for sure. So with like guards, like anybody from like 1 to 4, you really want to have guys like who can at least hit the mid-range. Um, Shooting the three is obviously really handy and really helpful to any team because you can space the four a lot if you can shoot the three. Um, and um, even though my guy can score like 40 points in a game or you know 30 points in a game, like relatively easy, if I have another player on my team who is a better scorer than me, then I'm gonna change my offensive game. I'm gonna become more of like a spot up shooter. I'm gonna become more of a guy who like just sits on the corner, sits in the mid range, and waits for uh, the pass, and then I'm gonna try to hit my shots, and that's how I'm gonna get my points. And I may not get many. Like I might get like like 10 to 15 in a game like that. But the main thing is that we're winning the game because I don't need to use all of my offensive tools. I don't need to use all of my offensive skills. I don't need to show my opponent exactly what I can do because the less that you like, the more that you can hide from your opponent, the more likely it's going to help you win at the end of the game because having moves that they haven't seen yet in that game is going to be it's the kind of thing that really gives you an advantage at the end because as David Bowie said it best, you need to know how to hide your sparkle. So the best parts about you have to save for the end, or you have to like you kind of have to like hold back. And but like if if you're on a team and everyone's having trouble scoring and everybody's just passing you the ball, it's because they're looking for a guy to to score. And in a lot of cases, there are like maybe not a lot of cases, but in certain cases you'll get into games and your whole team will have trouble scoring, and you might be the only one who's getting anything. Like you might be going like 100% and everybody's going like 20%. So in those cases, yeah, you got to step up and you got to score, right? Because that's what your role on that team, on that specific team in that specific game is right? And like you can't be afraid of that, and you can't shy away from it either. Like if you are the guy, then you have to be the guy. You can't I mean, you can defer a little bit to like other dudes on your team. Like all the best players do defer from time to time to their teammates. Like all the go-to scorers will do that, and like Michael Jordan, like Kobe Bryant, like every one of them, like you can think of, like they've all deferred to their teammates before. So being the guy doesn't mean that you're gonna like never defer to your teammates, but you have to be the guy when your team needs a bucket. You have to be the guy who's gonna get them that bucket, right? Like when your team needs like like if your teams had trouble scoring the whole game and like you know uh, you get like you're down by 1 point with like 10 seconds left, you got to be the one to run out that clock and take that last shot. Like especially if your first of all your teammate grade is up, like mine is up to A+ here, so I have no problems just taking the ball and scoring. Like in this game, I didn't even need to score 32, which is what I was at right here. Um, if I had scored 10, it would have been enough. It would have been enough to win it. But when you are one of the go-to guys, you like I said, you gotta be the go-to guy. You gotta like step it up and actually do what your role is on that team and in that game. And that's why, like, in my opinion, having a versatile character build, somebody who can be uh, like offensive and like reliable offensively, but also be um, like not liability on the defensive end. Um, that's the kind of player that is going to do well in a lot of like walk-on pro-am games. Just like a player who's very versatile, like um, because like if your role is changing every game, then being able to fill all those different roles is going to help you win a lot of games because you're not hurting your team by being out there, or you're not like making it harder on your team in any way. You're only helping them. So yeah, that's my opinion on that. Like you really should be aware, and I mean, you should look out for guys who are uh, right away trying to like carry a team offensively. Like if they know that that's what their role is starting out, that's all right. I'm okay with a sharpshooter like taking shots from outside, and if I'm playing with sharpshooters, that's what I do generally. I give them the ball and I'll try to like uh, either spot up from mid range or head right into the paint to try to get rebounds or a good inside positioning. And I'll do a mix of both. So basically, like I'll run from the mid range to right into the restricted area, and then back out to the mid range. Just keep your matchup guessing. Just not be too obvious of everything that you're doing. And yeah, just utilizing the tools that are available to you as a player. And then I think the last thing that you want on every team is rebounding. I mean, not the last thing. That's one of the most important things that a team should have on, like a good team should have, is you got to have guys who can clean up the boards, close possessions, get second chances on misses. Rebounding is fundamentally one of the most important things in pro-am, in my opinion. And if you don't have rebounding, then I think your team's gonna struggle for sure. I mean, not for sure. Like you might do well, but you'd have to shoot a really high percentage, and I don't know what you would do to close out defensive possessions, but force them to turn the ball over, I guess. But yeah, like there's a lot of different ways to be successful, but in my opinion, having a balanced team that has a lot of everything is good. Anyways, I hope you like this video, and I'll see you again next time. Peace.